Welcome TMP. I'm your host Gap, and tonight I will be interviewing our resident femboy and Minister of Defense, Koopa. Say hi, Koopa.
Hi, thanks.
Now, you're a very active member of our Discord, but give a little background of yourself for our viewers who may not know you.
So, like, what brought me to TNP and where I've kind of been?
Yeah, tell us where you've been, what you got going on, things like that.
So I started doing nation states a few years back. I actually found my nation probably about a year before I actually joined, like, the Discord and started becoming active in the regional government. Um,
Hmm,
it was just a random thing we came across in high school, and then I came back to it a year later, and then finally actually read the World Factbook entry and noticed it said Discord on it, so I joined it. Um, and that's what led me to the forums, which led me to the military, and led me to sign up for the MPA, and the rest is kind of history. I involved myself
interesting.
in that for a couple years, and that was what I primarily focused on. There was actually a point where I first started when I didn't even wasn't even in TMP Gen. I was just in the military Discord, and all I did was the military stuff until finally I started kind of spreading my wings and going to the other parts of TMP because this is a big place full of a lot of people. Um,
Interesting. So, how did you become Minister?
I've been doing this for a long time. Is the big one. I've just been at this for a while. A lot of the other generals also resigned prior to this. They left for various reasons. Some of, like Westenor, for instance, was just kind of busy, I believe, with real life stuff. Just didn't have enough time to dedicate to the ministry. And a couple of others left due to other things within TNP. But yeah,
Hmm,
I kind of came to it just because they needed somebody, and I have ideas for things.
interesting. So, we're going to continue on to some more regional questions. So, what are your plans for the Ministry of Defense so far?
Primarily, I just want to hold the course. I want the MPA to continue working with its allies, continuing to kind of state its a big part. While I myself am Raider aligned, I tend to align myself with the Raider faction. I tend to prefer raiding over defending type of stuff. I hold the North Pacific Army's independence to a high regard, and I am always big on making sure that we're doing a decent amount of both sides. I don't like us working with Raiders too often or working with defenders too often. I like everything to kind of try to stay as even as possible. And
Interesting.
in doing that, I just want to kind of keep the org going as we can, just kind of keep it going on track. Um, there were other ideas that I had, primarily the new training manual idea, which probably won't come to fruition, at least not this term. I just don't have enough time to dedicate towards doing it. But it's a project that I'm keeping on the table, where we would
Interesting.
kind of convert the training manual into a video guide for the Ministry of Radio,
Hmm.
so things could be better explained through visuals opposed to like a bunch of text where sometimes where it's in text form, it's kind of hard to figure out what they're talking about. So I think a visual guide would be a lot easier to kind of demonstrate what certain things mean and what certain tools do.
Hmm. Fascinating. So, what are some things that you think that could be improved upon in the ministry?
Hmm. The the largest issues that are facing the Ministry of Defense currently is similar to the issues facing the North Pacific at large, which is simply a lack of manpower.
Hmm.
There just aren't really enough soldiers to do good consistent nightly operations, at least not as many as that would be optimal for those kind of nightly runs. You can run operations with two or three people. It's difficult, especially if it's a tag of some kind, because you won't be able to compete with the numbers that libcord can pull. But the biggest problem facing it right now would be kind of that would be just an overall lack of manpower that would be required to run operations. There's just an overall no. I would say that's the biggest problem of all, because all the other problems that the ministry is having currently kind of stem from the problem of not having a lot of soldiers to work with.
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a problem. Definitely. So, what areas do you think you've been doing well?
Um, We've gotten we are I'm in the process of currently training in a new officer, Helios,
Hmm.
Heliopolis, which is it's Heliopolis, a a soldier that we've had for a long time and one of our most active soldiers currently, and training him I think is going to be a big part. It's important to get that new blood in, a new officer, somebody new that we can maybe, down the line this term or maybe next term hopefully bring into other positions. Maybe if they continue to perform well. Other things would be working with allies. We've continued a lot of operations. We've done with the Black Hawks. We've done operations with the South Pacific and Libcord as a whole. We've done a lot of good joint operations, and I like that we're continuing operations with our allies, regardless of alignment.
Hmm. Interesting. So I'd like to continue on and ask you about the recent liberation of Trovans, I believe.
Yes,
So is there anything you can tell us about that?
it was an operate. We were asked to participate by our good buddies in the South Pacific. We were asked to intervene in it in order to liberate the region, and after a couple updates of trying, it was successfully liberated.
Hmm. Interesting.
Outside of that, there aren't a lot of specifics to it. It was a fairly average liberation.
Hmm. That's good. Well, so is there anything you'd like to say to those who are interested or on the edge about joining the North Pacific Army? Because I know some people are kind of hesitant about it.
Don't let R&D scare you. It's one of those things that I feel a lot of people think about it, or see it, and they think it sounds complicated. It's a lot of gameplay mechanics and a lot of moving and timing and stuff. But I assure you, it's not nearly as complicated as it sounds, and that includes all aspects of it. Everything from just pointing to triggering operations to picking operations. It's not as hard as people often make it sound. A lot of it's just doing things in a proper order and doing things in a good way. So I urge people when they see ads for the army to not not to look at it and go, oh, I don't have time for that, or oh, I don't, I won't be able to do that. That sounds difficult. It's really not. I mean, and the North Pacific Army is more than willing to help teach you anything that you might need. If you're nervous, you won't understand it. There are plenty of people, my Deputy Minister of Defense Barbarino, and several of the officers are more than willing to help anyone learn how to do it, learn how to participate. Um, I'd also I'd also like people to. A lot of people probably are put off by rating. Possibly, I know there's some that we often have conflicts in various places where the North Pacific Army might not be able to do as many things because of some of our laws, and some people might also look at it and go, "Oh, they're rating's bad, evil." Um, we do both. So and you have to remember, you can just not participate in operation if you don't want to raid. Then that's fine. But come for DTACs, come for liberations. There are plenty of things that people can do that keep them active within the military, and all the help that we can get is welcome. So to people looking to join, I say just give us a chance. Honestly, I
Hmm.
mean it is fun. It doesn't sound fun, but R&D is quite enjoyable actually, in my opinion. I like to harp on it a lot in Discord for being like I'll sometimes harp on it for being like tiring or something, but I really is enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. I wouldn't be doing it for 3 years and be the Minister of Defense if I didn't enjoy R&D. It really is a fun experience. It's fun. The adrenaline of jumping into a region, the adrenaline of doing 40 target, 60 target, 80 target, 100 target operations, the satisfaction of liberating a region that might have been taken over. It really is all incredibly fun, and I do recommend it to people looking for something exciting to do in nation states. It might be the
Hmm.
most exciting thing to do in nation states, in my humble opinion.
That's awesome. Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining me tonight, and I'd also like to thank those who are watching at home. I would also like to remind everybody that if they like the content that we make here, they drop a like and subscribe